Your piano teacher Tim here, and today I have some awesome exercises that are really going to help you improve your two-handed piano playing. And I'm also going to show you the order in which you should learn them. Okay, the first exercise you should be working on, if you're not already, are scales. And obviously you want to start out by learning your C scale. I would start out by learning them 2 octaves. Speed is not so much of an issue in the beginning, but you want to learn them 2 octaves in every key that you can, all the majors at least. So, then you would do the one with 1 sharp, and then the key with 2 sharps, and then the key with 3 sharps until you get the 7 sharps, and then learn all of your flat keys as well. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description for you if you are interested in learning more about exactly what scales are and how to play them. So learn them in all your keys, 2 octaves. It's the very basic thing you should start with because scales involve playing the same note just an octave apart, and they involve simple finger crosses as well. So they aren't overly difficult, but there's something you want to start out with if you are new to playing with both hands. All right, so a lot of you probably do know about scales. Let's get on to the next one. All right, after you've learned your scales, the next thing you should learn are Hanon exercises. Now, what are these and why are they good for beginners? Or maybe the second exercise you should learn? Well, because they involve playing the same note an octave apart again in parallel. So that's why I told you to learn scales, right? So what's the point of these? Well, each pattern's a little bit different, whereas scales are all pretty much the same. I mean, they have different sharps or flats. What a Hanon exercise will do is it will introduce a pattern, and you will move that pattern up the keyboard gradually until you get to the top, which happens around here or so. And then what you do is you come back the other way. Whoops. So, and each exercise is actually designed to train a certain part of your hand. So like coming down here with your left hand, you're kind of getting a stretch there. With your right hand, you're getting a stretch there. And each exercise has a different kind of thing that it is working on. So how should you practice these? Well, there's a lot of exercises to learn. What I would do is I would learn each exercise. I would learn the first 10. They're all on this website here. First 10, no speed requirements at all. And you just want to be able to play from the beginning to the end. After you do that for a while, you want to set a metronome and then begin playing them with the metronome, getting them up to a speed, I would say, of about quarter note equals 100, maybe even 120. All right, let me show you the next exercise. Okay, after you've learned your scales, after you learn the first 10 Hanon exercises or so, maybe you're working on getting that tempo up, you definitely want to learn the Czerny School of Velocity. These are really cool because these kind of combine everything all into one. They combine scales, chords, I think the ones later on arpeggios, and different things you're actually going to find in actual sheet music. And similar to the Hanon exercises, they involve certain patterns and then moving up the keyboard. By the way, that is what we call sequencing. So the same thing with these. I would honestly learn the first 10. No speed requirements. Don't worry about getting the metronome out or anything. Just learn the first 10. Be able to get from the beginning to the end of each one because they will train you on something a little bit different. And then what I would do is go through the first 10 a second time using a metronome, that thing that dings and clicks, to get your speed up. And you want to be as accurate as possible, or maintain a highest speed that you can while still maintaining accuracy with your notes. I'm going to also try to remember a link in the description for you so you know where to find these as well. I believe all the things I'm going to be telling you tonight, or all the exercises, you can find online, which is great. So after the whole lesson's over, then go through and check them out and download them, or bookmark them. All right, on to the next exercise that I recommend. Okay, after scales, Hanon, Czerny School of Velocity, what should you learn next? Well, the perfect thing that builds right on top of that is, again, by Czerny, which is the exercises in passage playing. So let's take a look. So the exercises in passage playing, I love these. I love to actually practice these because, first of all, they sound more like pieces, and that's actually how these exercises are going to go. They're going to sound more and more like things you would actually find in music. This time you just have sort of scale patterns again, but not just, up and down all the time. It might be go up and down and up and down. And then after like the little scale patterns, you'll have arpeggio patterns. And then maybe a scale pattern. So it really is mixing up a lot of ideas into one. The cool thing about this is you may notice like between numbers 1 and 2, I find that these like kind of go in pairs. So once you learn number 1, you learn number 2. So the beginning of number 1 goes like this. And the beginning of number 2 goes like this. Sound familiar? Well, they're the exact same thing. They're just swapped, which is really cool because it's going to give you a really good practice with your scale runs, arpeggios in the right hand, but not just your right hand, also your left hand. Okay, on to the next set of... one thing I want to tell you is that to practice these, just go through and learn them. I would learn them one at a time. Maybe learn the first one and then get the first one up to speed. Learn the second one, then get the second one up to speed. And then maybe, since they kind of go in pairs, play number 1 and number 2 and see if you can play them at the same speed. And that'll be a really good test to make sure that both hands are working together and you don't have one hand that's super way stronger than the other, which actually is really common because a lot of us are dominant handed one way or the other. Okay, on to the next exercise. After you have learned all of these, what should you do then? Maybe you're running out of things to practice. Well, I did give you a pretty good list, but if you've learned all your scales especially, one thing I want to tell you about is there's different ways to practice scales, and a lot of people don't know this. They're just used to playing them, 2, maybe even 4 octaves you want to work up to, but there are other ways to practice them. For instance, we're used to practicing them in parallel, meaning you're moving the same note at the same time at the same speed. However, what you can do, you can learn them in contrary motion, meaning you're going the opposite direction. It's kind of interesting because it's going to be a different type of feel because when you're practicing them in parallel, you're used to finger crosses at certain times. Here, what's weird is it makes it a little bit easier because the finger crosses actually happen at the same time. So you have to get used to just that little bit of a difference. So try learning them in parallel, starting on the same note and then branching out. And you have to be careful because say you're doing the key of G, you have to make sure that you have any notes in the key signature where they're supposed to be. So that part is the challenge because now those do not hit at the same time. So I'd say finger-wise, they're easier in the contrary, but they are more difficult with the sharps and flats. Okay, let me show you some other ways to practice scales. You can also practice scales in thirds, meaning you're starting on C, or whatever note the scale's on, and you're starting a third away with your right hand, your other hand. Let me get this thing out of the way. Just like that. And it's a bit different because now you have different finger crosses going on than you're used to. And when you're doing in different keys, you also have to be careful as well because now your sharps are in different places as well. So I would learn them parallel, then contrary, and then in thirds, just like that. After that, you probably want to really just start getting into arpeggios, right? I mean, the scales will take you a long time as well, but the arpeggios are great because they involve finger crosses. They involve kind of like a shifting up the keyboard. And another thing is you're going to find arpeggios, like scale patterns, in your music all the time. Isn't that exciting? Okay, one thing a lot of students neglect that's hurting them with their two-handed playing is actually sight reading, which is being able to read through a piece of music the first time. Now you may be wondering, what does sight reading have to do with playing with both hands? Well, here's what it has to do with. So the better of a sight reader you are, first of all, the better of a musician you'll be, because you'll be able to pick up songs and be able to read through them. Like, first try, you might make a few mistakes, but if you get really, really good, you can learn some pretty complicated stuff without, looking through each individual note, painstakingly taking weeks to learn each thing. So how does this apply with playing with both hands? Well, when you're playing with both hands, you want to be focusing on the two-hand playing, right? And the coordination between both hands. You don't want to be focusing on notes, rhythms, all this stuff, and including both your hands. It just won't work out quite as right. It's too much for your brain to handle all at once. If you want to get better at playing with both hands at the same time, because of course you did, you clicked on this video, check out this playlist I have, the Two-Handed Piano Training Series, where I go over a lot of these examples and exercises I talked about today, but in more detail, because it's a lesson just on scales, a lesson just on Hanon, a lesson just on Czerny. So check those out. You really, really need to do that.